What's up, guys? Farzin Vasugian here with you for another episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. We are back after a week off. The Chiefs went on a bye week, and I said, why not? Let's go on a bye week also. So, yeah, we took a break from the podcast. No Red Friday live chat this past Friday, but we are now back here full swing as the Chiefs have had their bye week. And they're getting ready for the San Francisco 49ers, a Super Bowl rematch. Of course, going to be the big one on Fox. I'm getting a lot of people asking if that's going to be a nationally televised Fox game. Don't quite know yet. We'll find out in a couple of days, and I'll let you guys know immediately because I know a lot of people want to tune into this one, especially those who don't have Sunday ticket and are out of market. Completely understand. I do know this. It's the only late afternoon slate of games on Fox. So there's a strong possibility this might be a nationally televised game here. Not a primetime game. They're different than a nationally televised game. Primetime games are nationally televised, but eventually, once in a while, you'll have some CBS and Fox games that are nationally televised, meaning every single market will get those games. So we will find out in the coming days here. All right. I see a lot of you guys coming in here. Appreciate those who are watching live on Facebook, YouTube. Appreciate you guys making time for the podcast, watching live, talking, chatting along with me. And also for those who are listening on the archive version of Facebook, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all those places. Big thanks to you guys as well. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thechiefszone. Definitely appreciate those who have been helping raise the numbers on that YouTube channel as it is fairly new. Big thanks to you guys who have been doing all of that. All right, let's get into things here. Not going to be a very long podcast. Definitely want to talk about the Chiefs coming off a bye week, getting ready as we look at their schedule for the remainder of the season, and just kind of what to expect from the Chiefs looking ahead here, because the schedule does get kind of interesting here. The Chiefs, I would say, the most difficult part of their schedule right now in the rearview mirror, though they do have a big challenge later on. I know you guys all know what part that is. It's that little stretch there where the Chiefs are going to be playing 3 games in the span of 10 days. But prior to that, between now and then, there's a nice little stretch where the Chiefs can collect a lot of wins here. And I'm going to go over the schedule shortly. Also want to go over Andy Reid's press conference. He brought up something I was going to bring up. Andy Reid beat me to the punch on this one. One big glaring hole on Kansas City's defense. I'm sorry, Kansas City's offense there. A big weakness of theirs, the red zone. A lot of people don't know this. The red zone has been pretty bad. I mean, I think if you watch the games, you know it. But if you bring up the stats, that definitely really puts things into perspective. So we're going to talk about that as well. Also want to react to the NFL that was in week 6 from Thursday Night Football and then the Sunday games. Not the most, just not a lot of activity with week 6 games, but there's still a lot of things to react to. The games were pretty boring. But a lot of headlines. By the way, I didn't realize this. My friend Jody Mack on the Infinity Sports Network, formerly CBS Sports Radio, he mentioned this on his show. I didn't realize this until I heard from him. Only 2 games included teams going head-to-head that had winning records. One of them was Commanders-Ravens. The other one, it could not have been Chargers-Broncos because the Chargers were at 500. I guess Cowboys-Lions was the other game, because Cowboys were 3-2 before that, and Lions were 3-1. Unless I have that wrong. Yeah, it had to have been, because didn't the Lions just come off a bye? Let me double check that to make sure. Yeah, they were coming off a bye. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. Those were the only 2 games where we had head-to-head matchups with teams with a winning record above 500. How many picks did I win, Charlie? Don't know yet. Will the Chiefs make the playoffs? Haha, yeah, Nick, that's a good one. Jim, I see you. Appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions, you want to react to anything I'm talking about, please. I want to get the interaction going with you guys. Before we get started, real quick reminder before I forget, this Friday and next Friday, both Red Friday live chats, we will be back. But it will not be in the evening. We're actually going to do it in the afternoon. So As a result, we will be doing the Red Friday live chat at 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time, both this Friday and next Friday. What is the date for this Friday, next Friday? This Friday, the 18th, and next Friday, the 25th. Both Red Friday live chats will take place 11 a.m. Central Time. I actually have a scheduling conflict for both this Friday and next Friday, but I really want to make sure we do the Red Friday live chat. I want to be consistent with that, so just want to let you guys know. The Red Friday live chat will return after being on a bye week with the team, but will be on a much earlier time. I know some of you guys may not like that because some of you guys may not be available, but want to make sure you are all aware of that. You guys can definitely catch the archive version later on, just might not be able to answer your questions live. All right. Let's get right into it. I want to go to Kansas City schedule here, and I will put this on the screen for you guys because I do want you guys to see, because if I just tell you the schedule, it kind of sounds boring. But for those of you who are watching on the video version on Facebook and YouTube, you'll be able to follow along with me, and it'll be much easier to discuss. It always looks good on my end. I want to make sure that definitely looks good on your guys' end. There we go. Okay. So this is Kansas City's schedule following the bye week. They're going to go to San Francisco. We'll get to San Francisco on Wednesday's podcast when we break down the game between the Chiefs and the 49ers. After that, you got the Raiders. Then you come back home for your second straight Monday night football game at Arrowhead. The Chiefs are coming off a home game. That was a Monday night game, and their next home game will be a Monday night game on November the 4th against the Bucs. Then you got the Denver Broncos, who've been kind of up and down. Bo Nix going through that rookie learning curve. You got the Buffalo Bills, who've been up and down, probably going to destroy the Jets tonight. Buffalo's been beating up on bad teams, but when it comes to facing a challenging teams that are contending for a playoff spot, Buffalo has not looked very good this season. You've got Carolina that beat the Raiders, but they went back to being Carolina again, though they've been competitive in a couple of games. They were competitive the other day against, who was it? Against the Falcons. Ended up being an 18-point game, but made a contest out of it in the second half for sure. Until the Falcons pulled away. They also had a back-and-forth game with the Bengals. And then also the Chiefs play the Raiders at home. They play the Chargers at home Sunday Night Football. That's going to be the alumni game. Then after that, you have the Cleveland Browns. This is where things get a little harder on the schedule here. You have the Cleveland Browns, not necessarily a difficult team to play against. Then you got the Houston Texans on 6 days. And then you have the Steelers on 5 days. And that's going to be at Pittsburgh. Then you finish the season in Denver. We don't know if it's going to be on Sunday, January the 4th or January the 5th. I know on your guys' screen, it does say January the 5th, but we don't know that for a fact yet. I think ESPN just has to put a date there on their schedule, which is what I'm using here. But yeah, this is the schedule. So at San Francisco, at Vegas, against Tampa Bay, against Denver, at Buffalo, at Carolina, against Vegas, against the Chargers, at Cleveland, against the Texans, on the road on Christmas on a Wednesday against the Steelers, and on the road against the Broncos. Here's why I'm bringing up the schedule here, because I'm going to go back to the top of the screen here. And again, for those of you who are maybe listening to the video, or excuse me, the audio version, I'll explain it here. I have the San Francisco game on top. If the Chiefs win against San Francisco, and I'll be honest with you guys, I've kind of gone back and forth in this one. I have come to it as a decision as to who I think will win, and I'll share that on Wednesday's podcast. Got to keep you guys on your toes there. But let's say the Chiefs win this Sunday and improve to 6-0 coming off a bye week. Look at the remainder of the schedule. You have the Raiders and the Bucs. Those are the two worst teams in the NFL when it comes to missed tackles. They've got more missed tackles than any other team in the NFL. I believe it's the Bucs number 1 and the Raiders number 2, or it could be the other way around. Forgive me if I have that mixed up, but those are the top two teams right now in the NFL. Then you have Denver. Denver, they've played Kansas City close, but every game's a different game. And right now, Denver just hasn't looked really good. They've got a rookie quarterback. They're kind of going through a lot right now. Pat Surtain, I don't know what the latest is on him, but I know he suffered a devastating injury, and they're kind of waiting to see what the latest is on him, if I'm not mistaken. But hopefully he'll be available because you always want to beat opposing teams at their best. And at the same time, injuries are part of the game, and you just got to take advantage of other teams' mishaps there. But yeah, the remainder of the schedule. Then you have Buffalo, which, Buffalo, they've gotten Kansas City's number in the regular season. Carolina, okay, they're Carolina. Then you come back home for the Raiders and the Chargers, and that is all before you have this really weird stretch of games where you play 3 in 10 days. Now, I'm not here to suggest the Chiefs are going to win all of these games from week 7 to week 14. What is it? 1, 2, yes, all these 8 games here. I'm not suggesting the Chiefs are going to go 8-0 from weeks 7 through 14. But if the Chiefs beat the 49ers this Sunday, I have a really difficult time picking out where the loss is going to be, a loss or two. Listen, Kansas City's going to lose a couple of games. They're not going undefeated. There's no way. Even if they had Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and Isaiah Pacheco, they're not going to go undefeated. You're going to drop a game or two that you shouldn't lose, and then a couple of competitive games, which could be the Buffalo game, could be the Houston game, maybe the Steelers, because they've been looking really good. But I just have a really difficult time. Like Kevin Wilde said this the other week, and I didn't really put much thought into it until now, because I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like, wait a minute, if the Chiefs beat San Francisco on Sunday, when is that first loss going to come, and how many are they going to have this year? I remember last year it was the complete opposite, where we were scoreboard watching very heavily. Whenever the Chiefs lost the game, it was all doom and gloom, and people felt like the Ravens were going to run away with the AFC, the number 1 seed. And then the Ravens kind of slipped at times. You just kind of wondered, wait a minute, if the Ravens keep slipping, I mean, the Chiefs were not too terribly far away from the Ravens in the playoff standings and the AFC playoff picture. Obviously, we know how it ended up. Ravens got the number 1 seed. Chiefs had to settle for a 3 seed. They had the 3 seed locked up going into the final week of the regular season. Obviously, didn't matter too much because the Chiefs took care of business on the road and in the Super Bowl. But I'm just looking at the schedule right now here. If the Chiefs beat the 49ers, when is that first loss going to come? It's going to come at some point, but I just have a very difficult time wondering when it's going to come. And let's say the Chiefs do lose to the 49ers this week, which is a possibility. I know San Francisco's dealing with some injuries, but they're going to come to play in this one here. If you lose this game, it's not the worst thing in the world. Let San Francisco get that revenge game, okay? Like a week 7 Super Bowl revenge win, go have that parade all you want. The Eagles had that parade last I checked when they beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl rematch on Monday night. It was a frustrating Monday night ending, of course, but I think we all know who got the last laugh at the end of the day. I digress, though. Let's say the Chiefs lose to the 49ers. They're still going to be number 1 in the AFC, because if the Chiefs did lose that game to the Saints on Monday night, last Monday, they still would have had the number 1 seed going into the bye week. So the nice part here about these non-con games is that, okay, losing to the 49ers would not be the worst thing in the world, especially not right now. You're 5-0. I would much rather lose to the 49ers than to the Raiders. And it sounds silly putting it that way, because we have a choice as to who we want to lose to, which obviously does not work like that. Well, all I'm saying is you look at the schedule right now, the Chiefs obviously undefeated so far, which means they have not lost to an AFC team nor an NFC team for that matter. But if they lose to the 49ers, again, not the worst thing in the world, because they would still be undefeated against the AFC, which, I know a lot of people have a lot of different reactions to last night's Bengals win over the Giants, which, a win's a win. But at the same time, it's like, it's nice you got the win, but their 2 wins this year are against NFC teams, which means they're undefeated in the NFC, but they're winless in the AFC. Maybe they were the team to beat in the NFC. I don't know. Maybe that's what Jamar Chase meant. But my point is with that, if you're a team like Cincinnati that's 2-0 against the NFC and then 0-4 against the AFC, that's not really a good thing for you, because not only are you the loser in a lot of these tiebreaker situations, you're not going to win a division with that kind of record. That's a big reason why they didn't make it to the playoffs last year. It had nothing to do with Joe Burrow's injury. Had to do with the fact that they could not win a division game to save their life. The only time they won was when they put all their backups in the last week against the Browns. So when you look at this Chiefs schedule right now, you're in great position. Way better than what it was a year ago with the drops and being behind in the conference a little bit. But right now you're in the driver's seat. So if they can get this win against San Francisco, that'd be a pretty impressive win to me because it's on the road. It is San Francisco, even with the struggles they've got with the injuries. And we'll get into that on Wednesday's podcast. But I just have a very difficult time wondering, when is that first loss going to come? Mac, I see your comment. Chiefs are not losing coming off a bye. I know Andy Reid's got a good track record, but the Chiefs have had some disappointing losses off a bye week. Last year was one of them. They had one in the playoffs against the Steelers a few years back. I think it was the last game before they drafted Patrick Mahomes. Listen, the Chiefs have had some letdowns coming off a bye. More times than not, not the case. More times than not, they've won. But you can't ever be so sure about that. I think, as nice as the bye week is, Kansas City hasn't looked the greatest coming off a bye under Andy Reid. But I still expect a really good competitive show in San Francisco nonetheless. And I'll give you guys my prediction on Wednesday. But I just look at the schedule right now, and I'm not trying to say, oh, hey, it's an easy schedule, because look at the games above. I mean, that is a gauntlet of teams. Baltimore's won 4 in a row. Cincinnati, I know their record not very good, but hey, the Chiefs did not let them light up the scoreboard like they have in other games. And they took advantage when Joe Burrow had a big mishap in the fourth quarter, 2 big mishaps, the fumble and the sack. Atlanta has been very good this year with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been putting up some big numbers. The Chargers, I know they've been dealing with injuries, but hey, so have the Chiefs. The Saints were looking amazing the first couple of weeks, and now the Chiefs have kind of turned things around, or kind of silencing them. Did the Saints win this past week? I can't recall. No, they didn't. They got blown out. I forgot. Spencer Rattler played in that one, and the Bucks. Yeah, it was kind of a back and forth. The Saints scored 27 points in the second quarter. That was kind of interesting, but yeah, I forgot about that one. But anyway, my whole point is this. In general, I don't know if I don't know when that first loss is going to come. Assuming the Chiefs can pull through this Sunday, and there's a good chance of that. I know the Chiefs are underdogs, not by a big margin though. It's 1 point to 1.5 maybe in some sports books. When is that first loss going to come for the Chiefs? I don't know. I feel pretty good about what's going on with the Chiefs team right now. I've seen a few comments about this already, about Tyreek Hill and Amari Cooper. Look, I'll say what I've said for a while. I don't know if the Chiefs are making a trade at the deadline. I just don't see them. They don't have enough space on the salary cap unless they restructure Jawan Taylor's deal. That would open up a lot of space. And it would really give Kansas City the flexibility it needs, both short-term and long-term. Long-term part would be trying to keep Trey Smith. That would be a huge help, salary cap wise. Now, is Jawan Taylor going to agree to that? I don't know. He should, but he also signed a contract. And listen, Tyreek Hill was once approached by the Chiefs about restructuring his deal, and he admitted that he declined. He did not want to do that. Some of these guys are about the money. Jawan Taylor, I mean, he got a massive deal with the Chiefs, so it'd be kind of hard for him to want to decline that because, yeah, even though he's playing like shit, he doesn't want to give up that money. I can understand that for sure. He may not get a contract like that ever again in the NFL. So, but as far as the wide receivers go, yeah, Calvin Ridley, I did see that, Charlie. Again, I'm just thinking of Kansas City's cap situation. I'm not 100% sure what that really looks like. But the Tyreek Hill thing, man, it's funny because people were saying the Chiefs needed Tyreek Hill, and I'm like, come on, man, let's let it go. It even came back up last year. Now it's the other way around where people are still suggesting a reunion, but instead they're saying it's Tyreek Hill who needs the Chiefs. I just mentioned that Tyreek Hill was approached by the Chiefs at one point, asked about restructuring his deal, and he declined. Tyreek Hill, look, I've said this before. I'll say it again. It's not really my place to speak. And so I'll keep it very vague. I think you all know Tyreek Hill has enough kids to where he could film cheaper by the dozen. Okay. He's got a lot of kids. Listen, I'm not a parent, but I do know college costs a shit ton of money. And when you've got 9, 10, 11, I don't know how many more kids, maybe Maury 2.0 might. I think even a Florida judge granted a kid saying that he belongs to Tyreek Hill. But I just think, where he is in his personal life, he needs the money far more than he needs a Super Bowl ring. So I don't see that happening again. I saw Nick Wright's monologue on FS1 where he said that he thinks they're going to reunite because Tyreek Hill was uploading Chiefs highlights on Snapchat. Like his Chiefs highlights from the past on Snapchat. That's a little weird, but I'm not really putting too much weight in that. Man, we got to let this Tyreek Hill thing go. I mean, first it was Kansas City that needed Tyreek Hill, and then they keep winning Super Bowls, so people have to shut up about it. Now it's the other way around where, okay, the Chiefs kind of need Tyreek Hill, but they're 5-0, and it's Tyreek Hill who is struggling immensely this year, and it's Tyreek Hill who needs the Chiefs. It's like, God damn it, man. Just let the whole thing go. Because even though people are now doing it the other way, it's still annoying. Listen, both teams made their bed. They got to sleep on it, okay? Tyreek Hill knew he was leaving a dynasty for a lot of money. Just like how the Chiefs knew they were trading away the most dynamic player in NFL history. You have to live and die by the decisions you make. When you trade up in the NFL draft, you might be giving up a lot for a certain draft pick. And also next year's draft pick, you're surrendering that. You got to be confident in the decisions you make. I think at the end of the day, the Chiefs are doing just fine without Tyreek Hill. I mean, they've won 2 Super Bowls without him, maybe a third in a row. And at the same time, Tyreek Hill, even though he hasn't won a playoff game, he's making a boatload of money. And I think he's completely content with that. If you're not winning in the NFL, hopefully you're at least making a lot of money. That's the case right now for Tyreek Hill. So I would like it if the world would let that go, but Aaron says, but you wouldn't be mad about us getting Tyreek Hill back. No, I wouldn't, Aaron. Nobody would, but realistically, that's not happening. It's just not because, as I said earlier, because of where Tyreek Hill is, in his personal life, with all the kids he has. I mean, the guy is not coming to play in Kansas City for what? How much money do the Chiefs have in their salary cap? Not much, less than $5 million. Tyreek Hill's not playing for $5 million, and plus he also had his house that caught on fire last year, which is just scary and unfortunate. No one should ever have to go through that kind of thing. But it's like, those kinds of houses are really expensive, so I think he needs the money far more than he needs the Chiefs. Let's move on here and talk about Kansas City and what they really need to improve on this year. And I think, if you saw this, you already knew. But as far as the stats go, maybe you didn't realize this. The Chiefs have struggled in the red zone. I'm not breaking any news to anybody that's been watching the Chiefs snap for snap. A lot of you guys have been watching every single Chiefs game like I have. But one thing you may not realize is the Chiefs coming into the bye week, they were third worst in the NFL, 30th when it came to red zone efficiency on offense. Now that a majority of the week 6 games are over, obviously we'll see what happens tonight, but I don't think it'll make a big difference. The Chiefs are now 29th, now the 4th worst in the NFL when it comes to red zone offense. Here is my takeaway when it comes to that stat right there. If you're going to tell me the Chiefs struggle a lot in the red zone, there's a positive to take away from that, and there's a negative to take away from that. Let me just get the big negative out of the way. When you're so close to the end zone, you can't get there. That is the big glaring obvious there when it comes to that number there. However, when it comes to the positive from that stat, what that tells me is the Chiefs are able to find ways to move the football and get close to the end zone. So they're able to move the football. They're just not doing a good job of trying to punch it in. They haven't done a good job of punching it in. They found a way to move the football and get to that point. This was actually the case last year too. By their standards, not very good, but I think they were like 16th or 17th in the league. I would have to look that up to be sure. Let me just check something real quickly, because I do want to check one other thing regarding the red zone stats here. But in terms of just like the fix is pretty easy here. If you guys listen to Andy Reid's press conference, he talked about the red zone. He was asked, like, what kind of scouting things did you need? And Andy Reid didn't want to go into details, but one thing that he was willing to bring up was that they needed to improve on the red zone. Again, 4th worst in the NFL. What did Andy Reid say in the press conference here? He said that the team needs to stop beating themselves, because by doing that, they're stopping themselves from scoring in the red zone. And I think a big part of that is the play calling. Is it not? The play calling has not looked very good. This is a Chiefs team that, listen, Andy Reid, phenomenal play caller, but when it comes to crunch time or when you get so close to the end zone, Andy Reid does get very cute with the play calling. I think he did, and we just kind of talked about Tyreek Hill. I remember our Monday night game several years ago. I was actually on a flight watching this, trying not to lose my shit when this happened. But I remember they ran a play where Tyreek Hill was a running back. They tossed it to Tyreek Hill, and he threw an interception because they were trying to throw off the defense, and it didn't work. That was a game where Jamal Charles came back to Kansas City and fumbled, and the Chiefs went for a scoop six. I think it was Marcus Peters. Coincidence, considering Jamal did that to the Broncos. But we don't need to get into that. Yeah, so I think part of it is the play calling. I mean, listen, look at the game against the Chargers. The game-winning drive. Kareem Hunt, he had, and I don't have the stats in front of me. I think it was 27 yards of total offense from Kareem Hunt on that drive, both receiving and rushing, and they capped it off with a Samaje Perine touchdown. The Chargers defense was not doing anything to stop the Chiefs on that drive because the Chiefs just simply stuck to running the football, and it was working. It was very effective. The Chargers had no answer for it. If you're the Chiefs, let Kareem Hunt cook. Let Kareem Hunt get the football. Let him run with it. Let Samaje Perine get involved a little bit. I know they want to work Carson Steele into it. Let him get some confidence back after a couple of fumbles this year. I mean, you've got a really good group of running backs here, even without Isaiah Pacheco. So I think if the Chiefs can get away from the cute play calling, and listen, I love the Dontari Poe touchdown pass, and a few others like Travis Kelce threw a touchdown pass. They had Travis Kelce handed off to Xavier Worthy, which did work. Trick plays are always it's a double-edged sword. If they work, everyone's praising the play caller, which is Andy Reid. Everyone's going to be talking about how great it was, and Andy Reid was gutsy for making that move, and the players did a great job executing there. But if it doesn't work, you're questioning everybody. Number one, again, the play caller. Now, I will say that pass to Juju Smith-Schuster, it worked. Everything worked except for the final phase, which was coming down with possession. I think Patrick Mahomes could have done a little bit of a better job with the location of the ball. But you gotta come down with it if you're Juju. And listen, I'm not gonna beat Juju up on that too much because he did make up for it on the next drive with that 50-yard catch and run play there. That did lead to a touchdown play for Xavier Worthy. But I think sometimes, man, it's like the Chiefs really are their own worst enemy so much. Look at what is Patrick Mahomes' all-time record? It's like I think he's only lost like 20. He's 79-22. Now, there are a few games where the Chiefs just got their asses kicked, such as Super Bowl 55. There was the 2021 game against the Titans where the Titans just blew out the Chiefs. So there have been a few games where the Chiefs have lost in a blowout. But from the majority of the 22 losses that Patrick Mahomes has suffered in the NFL, I would strongly argue that a lot of those are self-inflicted wounds where the Chiefs are just hurting themselves from a play calling standpoint, from an execution standpoint. I think Mahomes, we've gone over this before this season. I think he puts way too much on himself. And Matt Nagy even addresses too, saying that it's a healthy amount of pressure he puts on himself. I don't know if I'd call it healthy, because sometimes Mahomes tries to be the hero on every single play. Every single play has to be an A-plus play for Mahomes. I've said that many times. But I think if you just relax a bit, you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You've won the Super Bowl back-to-back years. Let me remind you guys, the Chiefs, not my words, but the Chiefs were not supposed to win the Super Bowl last year. Am I wrong? Weren't there a lot of people that wrote off the Chiefs, said they'd be one and done? Oh, okay, they're on the road. They're definitely going to lose this time. Oh, it's the Ravens. They're definitely losing. No, the Chiefs, when last year they were so beatable and so vulnerable, they won the Super Bowl. Nobody could take advantage of their weakness when it mattered the most. And even though all the issues with ball security last year with the Chiefs, it still carried over all the way to the Super Bowl. And they still won. So I think what people forget about sometimes, specifically the Chiefs, it's like, listen, I love trick plays more than anyone else, okay? I love seeing that kind of stuff. But, man, if it's not working, rip it out of the playbook or delete it from the Microsoft Surface, wherever you have these plays nowadays. Just get rid of it, because I think for the Chiefs sometimes they try to get too creative and try to be too cool, and it's like, no, we don't need that. We just score, just get a touchdown. Get a damn touchdown, man. Don't make it too complicated. I think the biggest frustration, and I mentioned the 22 losses under Patrick Mahomes, I would strongly argue a lot of those 22 losses are the Chiefs making it too complicated than they really need to at times. So just go play your game. Run the ball. Again, I know it's not Andy Reid's MO, but damn it, man, this year just isn't the year. Last year wasn't either. So you brought back Kareem Hunt for a reason, and we all know what Kareem Hunt's capable of. Kareem Hunt right now is showing that just because he's 29 years old, he's not falling into that category of running backs in today's NFL, that don't age well. Kareem Hunt is kind of giving us the old school running back style, where in the 2000s, running backs in their 30s were still playing well. I know Kareem Hunt's not in his 30s yet, but he's close, and he's playing some damn good football right now. How many 29-year-olds are doing what Kareem Hunt's doing at that position at the moment? And again, I know it's only 2 games, but for a guy that is 29 and which is old in the NFL today at that position, he's actually playing very well compared to other 29-year-old running backs. So again, I think if you're Andy Reid, it's like, why are we complicating things? Just be cool about it. Just run the damn ball. It's not the end of the world. And listen, no one in the NFL has 100% on red zone efficiency. That's never happened before. But I think the Chiefs can make some big improvements here if they can just keep it simple. It doesn't need to be complicated here. You've got Patrick Mahomes. You've got Travis Kelce. You've got Kareem Hunt. You got Juju Smith-Schuster and Xavier Worthy, who have stepped up. Juju definitely been stepping up lately. Xavier Worthy, I think, is gradually getting better. I know he's in a very tough situation now where the 2 receivers that were his mentors, they're no longer available. So Xavier Worthy is now having to do what those guys were teaching him. So it's not a very easy spot for Xavier Worthy to be in. This is not an easy spot at all for the rookie. But he's got to put on those big boy pants and those big boy shoes and try to do the things that were expected of Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice. So, Melinda mentions a really good point. Juju was cut by the Patriots. The Patriots have struggled immensely this year. I think the Patriots are looking at the Juju cut, and they're like, how the hell did we screw that one up? I mean, sure, Patrick Mahomes being with him is definitely helps, but, man, the Patriots just are not getting the ball rolling. They had some moments there with Drake May, and then Kareem Hunt. As you just said, Melinda, he was on the couch, and he's looked good for Kansas City in these 2 games. Really good. I would strongly argue you do not win that football game against the Chargers if it was not for Kareem Hunt. I don't think you do. And that was a game, you started off 10-0, a very tough deficit, and then your defense stepped up, shut them down the rest of the way. And Kareem Hunt, he really helped lift the offense when they needed help. That's why the Chiefs, that's why they brought him back. That familiarity and his comeback story continues to be a good one. And I hope he can end it with a Super Bowl ring, something he's missed out on. But the Patriots beat the team to beat in the AFC. That's what's well played, Timothy. Yeah, they did do that. They certainly did that. They're the team to beat in the NFC, man. They're undefeated in the NFC. The rebuild year after Hill was traded. Yeah, it's funny because at the parade, Brett Veach lifted the Super Bowl 57 trophy. He said this was a rebuilding year, and he picked up the 58 trophy. He said this was a down year. It's like, yep, that's the thing, man. You just can't write off the Chiefs, even with these injuries, man. People are not writing off the Chiefs. First of all, they're not the only ones dealing with injuries. The team they're about to face, and again, I'll get into this more on Wednesday's podcast, the 49ers, they've been decimated with it. They might have their third kicker of the year. It's been that bad. We don't know for sure yet, but we'll find out soon. It has not been a good year. Aiden Hutchinson just went down with an injury. It's been a really, really rough year in the NFL when it comes to injuries. I'll get into my week 6 NFL reactions, but before I do that, I want to let you know, hey, the Chiefs obviously got a couple of road games and some big cities. Maybe a lot of you guys are in those areas, San Francisco, Vegas. Want to catch some of the baseball playoffs. Unfortunately, no Royals baseball. Hockey season is back. I'm very excited. Got my Vegas Golden Knights on right now. Go Knights, go. A lot of sports going on right now, man. College basketball going to be starting up very soon. KU #1 in the preseason polls, which is always good. If you guys want to catch any of the action, go to SeatGeek.com. That is where I get my tickets for sporting events. And if you guys are new SeatGeek customers, you can use my promo code FARZINE, and you will save $20 off your first order from SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com, pick your tickets, and if you're a new customer, enter my promo code FARZINE. Don't forget that, and you will save $20 off your first purchase from SeatGeek. All right, let's get into the week 6. It's always weird when you're on a bye week. You kind of forget the bye weeks and all that. I do want to start with Thursday Night Football because that is where the 49ers and the 49ers and Seahawks played, and that was one of strong interest considering the 49ers were the next opponents for the Chiefs. The Seahawks, once upon a time, were 3-0. Now they're 3-3. The 49ers, they were 2-3 coming into that game, so they were knotted up at 500. Look, I don't get the criticism for Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy is Alex Smith plus. I think Brock Purdy is very similar in Alex Smith, where Alex Smith, the guy did not win you big games. He tried not to lose them. He did a great job of taking care of the football, but there was a ceiling with Alex Smith. I would say Brock Purdy is a level above that to where he does a good job of taking care of the football. Maybe this year, not the best year of it. But listen, the 49ers have been to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship game with him. And if he doesn't get injured in that NFC title game, maybe it's going to be a closer game against the 49ers, and who knows what the outcome would have been, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. Listen, this has been a tough year for a lot of teams. So I'm not making excuses because of the injuries. Because I know, I think it was Deebo Samuel who missed a little bit of time, and George Kittle missed a game. Christian McCaffrey has yet to play, but that doesn't matter because Jordan Mason has been playing very well, but he just got hurt. So I was like, man, it's been rough, just like the Chiefs. But the 49ers found a way to win that one. Scoring 13 points in the second quarter and in the fourth quarter. So they've been able to put up a lot of points in a short amount of time. So if you're the Chiefs, and I trust the defense will be much better about it. And also, they gave up a kick return touchdown. We've only had 2 kick return touchdowns on the season. The Cardinals had one in week 1 against the Bills, and the Seahawks had it on Thursday night against the 49ers. The Seahawks had 7 kick returns in this game. The Chiefs have only had 7 kick returns on the season. So I'm wondering, how much Dave Toub was able to watch that game and maybe come up with some sort of a game plan to get the kick return game going. I hope so. Very curious to see how that goes there. Bears Jaguars. Caleb Williams played much better in this one. Bears are 4-2. And I'll get into the NFC North in a moment here because I thought that was a very interesting division before the season. And I kind of wondered how it would look now. But man, it's taken a very interesting turn. Doug Peterson, dude, I guess the Jaguars are giving him one more chance. I'm telling you right now, I have no idea who's going to win that game next Sunday between the Jags and the Patriots. If somehow the Patriots win, Doug Peterson's got to go. I'm a huge fan of Doug Peterson. I'm biased because he was here in Kansas City, and I thought he did a great job. He was a part of the turnaround from the 2-14 season to the 9-0 start. And I thought what he did in Philadelphia, tremendous job. Carson Wentz goes down with an injury, and you still find a way to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. But that's in the past. And Doug Peterson has not been very good for the Jaguars. I think he might be the next head coach that gets let go. What other games? Joe Flacco, man, he's looking really good. I think Joe Flacco's proving, yeah, he might have had some struggles in his career late with the Ravens, but I think teams made a mistake writing him off. I mean, he was on the couch last year. He really helped lift the Browns when they needed a quarterback. He's doing a really good job with the Colts right now. I like the way Joe Flacco's playing. I actually was surprised. I didn't realize they did not declare a starting quarterback coming into the game. I assumed it was Joe Flacco. I picked the Colts to win, which they did by 3 because of Joe Flacco. I didn't realize he was not tabbed as a starting quarterback publicly, I guess, going into the game. So I'm glad to see Joe Flacco's playing well. I don't think he's playing at an elite level like he used to at one point, but he's still playing very good football. So I'm glad to see he's doing a good job helping the Colts right now at 3-3. The Browns and the Eagles, Nick Sirianni, I mean, dude, the guy is a clown. You're flexing. Oh, you just broke your 500 record. You're 3-2, and you're flexing at your own fans in your own stadium over a win against the Browns. That might be the weirdest thing ever. Then again, it is Nick Sirianni, so that doesn't shock me. What does shock me is Kevin Stefanski going in his press conference, both yesterday and today, and is letting it be known that they are sticking with Deshaun Watson. This is basically Kevin Stefanski saying, my hands are tied. I got no choice here. We made a massive mistake trading this for this guy and giving him a shit ton of money, and we got no choice but to play him. So we're sticking with him. Yeah. Just when you think Cleveland finally figures it out, no. There is not going to be a happy ending in Cleveland. There is not going to be a happy ending in this one here. Commanders Ravens, I would argue this was the best game of week 6. Ravens looked like they were going to run away with this one, but Jaden Daniels continued to do his thing. Lamar Jackson's looking really good right now. He's certainly in the conversation for MVP. Derrick Henry, everyone wrote off Derrick Henry, thought he was washed up. No, this guy is still playing at a very high level. His worst game was against the Chiefs. Outside of the Chiefs, he's played great in every single NFL game here. Zay Flowers looked like a great wide receiver in this one. Again, making that transition like Rashee Rice did from his first year to his second year and playing great, making those big improvements there. Chargers Broncos. Chargers looked like they were going to run away with this one. It was 23-0 going into the fourth quarter. And then the Broncos cut the deficit, made it scoring 16 points in the fourth quarter here, which got really interesting, but Chargers were able to hold them off. Listen, I think Bo Nix is good. I don't think the offensive line is doing him a lot of favors, and I think sometimes he's putting too much pressure on himself. If he doesn't overthrow his receivers, I think Bo Nix could be a really good quarterback and could be in the conversation, could have a shot at winning Rookie of the Year. Steelers Raiders, another game of interest here. I don't think the Steelers offense was anything impressive. I think when the Raiders defense got tired as the game went on, that is when Justin Fields turned it up, which is fine. That's what you're supposed to do. But I do think, they're more of a second half offensive team than they are a first half team. The Raiders are just a disaster. I mean, they had the ball inside the 1 and they fumble it. And on top of that, you continue to let opposing fans take over your stadium. I mean, Raider Nation ain't as strong as they want to make it sound like. Listen, I like to poke the bear a little bit with Raiders fans and Bengals fans. It's kind of hard to do with the Raiders. I mean, they're quiet. What happened? They were so stoked about that Christmas game that they won. That was their Super Bowl, and they bragged about it every single day of the offseason. And now they're quiet. I don't hear from Raiders. Do Raiders fans exist? Do we need to file a police report for a missing persons? Like, because I ain't hear from Raiders fans. Where are you all at? I know you all follow this page. But neither here nor there. Let's see. I just lost my screen. Where was I? Oh, Lions Cowboys. Okay, so two big stories from this one. Lions won 47-9. Yikes. This was on Jerry Jones' 82nd birthday, I believe. And they got a shot of him during the 2-minute warning with the score. Dude, I'm just telling you right now. I mean, listen, you have Trevor Lawrence, who's playing like shit right now. You have Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, who cannot compete with the big boys. Okay, Joe Burrow, maybe last night didn't play well, but has played great in general this season. But they're 2-4 still. Dude, I think this season of all seasons is proof that you got to stop paying quarterbacks. You can't just bend the knee and give these quarterbacks whatever money they want, man. I mean, listen, I get Patrick Mahomes is on a whole nother level. This year, statistically, not so much. But in general, like, Mahomes has done things that no one else has ever done in the first 100 games of an NFL career. So I know that Patrick Mahomes being used as a measuring stick is not fair. But when you're not winning Super Bowls and when you're making more money than him, I mean, you're essentially committing robbery to your own team here. And I think the Cowboys right now realize they spent money in all of the wrong places here. Dak Prescott's 2-4 in the playoffs. What are you making him the highest paid player for? I don't get it. Why are teams giving up and just willing to give all these money to quarterbacks? Prove you deserve it. I thought Joe Burrow deserved it. I don't think he should be paid more than Mahomes, but again, I get it. You can't make Mahomes a measuring stick here because that's just not fair, because at least Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. He's beaten the Chiefs a couple of times. They've had big moments in the playoffs, but what has Trevor Lawrence done? He came back against the Chargers. That's it. I mean, what is it with these teams just paying quarterbacks here? It just doesn't make sense. And if you're the Cowboys, you're just stuck with those contracts here. Because didn't they give one to CeeDee Lamb also? I mean, I think CeeDee Lamb's an amazing receiver, but you just can't overpay everybody. And I think the Cowboys have done that. That's why they're in such a bad position right now. The Lions, they improved to 4-1. Man, I'm telling you, that NFC North is a wild division right now. You have the Lions at 4-2, the Packers at 4-2, and the Bears also at 4-2. None of those guys are division leaders. It's the Vikings at 5-0 who are coming off a bye week. That might be. Listen, I thought the division was interesting beforehand, and I thought the Lions would win. I was actually excited for the Vikings until the JJ McCarthy injury, but they're doing just fine without him. And you have the Packers who, they had some struggles, but they're doing okay. Caleb Williams, I think, is playing better than I expected. I know everyone had different expectations with him, but hey, Chicago, I don't know if anyone expected Chicago to be 4-2, tied for second place in the division, tied with the rest of the division. So, how do you view it? Glass half full or glass half empty? Because you got three teams that are tied for second place, also tied for last place in the division. So kind of weird how you look at that. But unfortunately, I don't know if the Lions are going to be part of that mix because they just lost their best player. And I heard this on Jody Mack's show last night. Somebody was criticizing the Lions, saying, "Why don't you? In a blowout? Why do you let them stay?" Listen, you can't just yank all your starters in the third quarter like that. Listen, comebacks are possible. I remember two occasions where the Chiefs allowed a big comeback and they had to make up for it and they found a way to win. And Patrick Mahomes' NFL debut, which again, I know a game that had no relevancy whatsoever, But they took Mahomes out of the game and they bring Tyler Bray into the game. Remember Tyler Bray? Tyler Bray, I think he fumbled and threw a pick six, something along those lines, where he let the Broncos tie the game. So they pulled Tyler Bray off and they put Patrick Mahomes back. And Patrick Mahomes orchestrated a perfect game-winning drive to set up a Harrison Butker game-winning field goal. Again, that was Mahomes' NFL debut, by the way. And then there was one several years ago in 2010 against, I want to say, Tennessee, where the Chiefs, it was a Week 16 game. The Chiefs were getting ready to wrap things up. They were winning by a wide margin. They took Matt Castle out of the game and they put in Brody Croyle. It wasn't like a blowout win at the time. Like the game was still fairly close. Brody Croyle goes in there, throws an interception, and there's, a verbal altercation between Castle and Haley on the sidelines, which was not pretty. So they put Matt Castle back into the game. Fortunately, they were able to not blow the lead or anything, but unfortunately, that interception kind of put the Titans back with a chance to at least get back in the game. You just don't ever want things like that to happen. It's almost like the Hollywood Brown thing. Like, you don't want to put your starters in the preseason, but they got to get to know each other a little bit. They got to go up against somebody else other than their own teammates in practice in St. Joe. It's just unfortunate because Hollywood got hurt on the very first damn snap of the preseason. And, we're kind of wondering, is he ever going to end up playing a snap for the Chiefs? I hope so. I really hope this is not his last year with the Chiefs. I hope he comes back. But unfortunately, that's just the way things work in the NFL, man. What do I say? I think this might be my most repeated comment ever. Injuries are part of sports in a very unforgiving way. And we're learning that more this year than any other year. I mean, the Chiefs have been dealing with it. The Rams are without two great wide receivers. The 49ers have been decimated with injuries. The Lions just lost a great player. It's never easy. It is never easy. Yeah, Kyle mentions a good one there where they fumbled the snap with Phillip Rivers. Yeah, the one that they should, but that's a little different. It wasn't like the Chiefs were down by 20 points and they came back though. So that's a little different, Kyle, but that was still an epic night. No question about it. But man, I'm just looking at the Lions right now. They've got a very tough schedule. They're getting ready to play the Vikings, and that's going to be without Aiden Hutchinson. They've got the Texans coming up soon. They got the Packers. Man, I don't know if the Lions are sticking around. And I hate to say it because I love the turnaround story we've got in Detroit, but that is by far your best player in Aiden Hutchinson. And yeah, I still think the Lions are going to be a solid competitive team, given how tough that division is this year right now. Without Hutch, who's got 7.5 sacks, it does become very difficult. So I don't know. I'm not holding my breath on the Lions to make the playoffs this year. I hope I'm wrong because I love that story in Detroit, but I'm not banking on it. Last game here, I want to go over Bengals Giants. This was kind of a weird game where the Bengals offense, which has been great, they were very lackluster in this game. They almost gave the game away with that fumble there late, and their defense played awesome. I actually expected the Bengals defense to look great. I didn't expect the Bengals offense to look as stagnant as it did. I know the Giants led the NFL in sacks coming into this one, and I think they got 4 on Burrow. Boy, that Bengals offensive line maybe not as good as some thought. Everyone thought that the Bengals offensive line made vast improvements there. Orlando Brown, people thought he was definitely showing improvement. Well, you go up against the top tier defensive line, and the Orlando Brown we know and love came back to play. Again, I still think Joe Burrow is great. I still think T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, Yoshibash, I think that's a great wide receiver trio there. They just had an off game, and that'll happen. But, man, if you're the Bengals offensive line, which has been getting some praise this season, you can't be doing that because you do that, that could really hold you back. They're just lucky that it was a Giants offense because they really shit the bed in this one. Listen, you could make a case the Bengals should have blown them out. You could also make a case the Giants should have won this game. And, by the way, I'm seeing a lot of people criticize the Bengals fans for celebrating at the stadium. Dude, that's a road game. There are probably a lot of people who paid money for flights, hotel tickets, all that stuff. I don't care if that's an ugly win. You go on the road and you win. As a fan base, you should enjoy that. I don't get people criticizing that. As far as the win, okay, maybe not the greatest win, but dude, Joe Burrow after the game looked devastated. And I'm reading comments from Bengals fans on the internet. Dude, they were livid. They're like, I don't care. I want Zach Taylor fired. Dude, you just won. You haven't had a lot of wins this year. I mean, I'm a Chiefs fan. I love poking at Bengals fans. And I'm even telling Bengals fans, like, you got to celebrate this. You guys won. I mean, not the most impressive win. I get it, but it's still a win. I don't care who you play in the NFL, man. If you win, you win. There are only 17 games in the NFL, which is not very many. You only get 17 games. So you got to find a way to win, especially if it's on the road. There's no better feeling than that. In the regular season, of course. Obviously, in the playoffs, much different animal. But okay, I mean, if Bengals fans want to have that pessimistic tone coming off a win, I mean, would you rather be 1-5? I don't know. I mean, I guess the only logic to that is you would rather lose so Zach Taylor gets fired, because I've seen more and more fans just want Zach Taylor gone, which. Okay, I mean, I don't disagree, but I don't know if that. Well, what is that going to solve? Unless you get Belichick, what is that solving? I don't know. I'll let you guys decide on that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Appreciate you guys downloading, listening to this episode of the Chiefs Zone Podcast. For those of you who watch live on Facebook and YouTube, big shout outs to you guys as well. Thank you guys for making the Chiefs Zone Podcast part of your day. Covered a lot of ground here, both with the Chiefs and around the league. By the way, for all you Swifties out there, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift will be at game 1 of the ALCS between the Yankees and I believe the Guardians. So yeah, T Swift and T Kels, they're going to be in the house for game 1. Calm down, people. The Chiefs have a day off tomorrow. So that's all. Calm down. Because I remember people lit up Kelce after the Chiefs lost to the Broncos last year, because the Friday night he was at the game, the Yankees game. So, or no, it was Astros. That's what it was. Astros or Rangers, one of the Texas teams. But yeah, calm down. It's a Tuesday. They're off tomorrow, so that's all that's going on. All right, I'm out of here, guys. My name is Farzi Vazougian. Thank you again for checking out the podcast. We'll be back Wednesday. We will do our Chiefs and 49ers preview podcast. Also, a reminder, both this Friday and next Friday, the 18th and the 25th, both Red Friday live chats will take place 11 a.m. Central Time. I do have a scheduling conflict on both of those Fridays, so there will be a Red Friday live chat. It will come back. It'll just be much, much, much earlier in the day than usual. So just be aware of that. Other than that, I will talk to you all later. Peace out.